Hello, hello, hello. Hello. I don't know if I've ever done a video like this before, but thinking about how 2023 Barney is now 30 something years old, 35, something like that. And I was just reminiscing on like the past and how much it's been through, how much I've been through just with the character. And I kind of wanted to talk about it because it it's been kind of crazy. It really has. I remember growing up, I was into a lot of stuff, of course, just like everyone is growing up, right? And I went to a daycare from when I was a very, very young child up until I want to say middle school. I was actually the very first child at that daycare that she ever took care of, which was kind of cool. But of course, like every daycare sitter, she had a lot of, at the time, VHS tapes, and they were from different franchises and stuff. But most importantly, she had a lot of Barney tapes, a lot of Barney tapes. Her entire VHS bookshelf essentially was just white tapes all the way down, and we would watch them all the time. And I remember I got to a point where I would ask her if I could borrow them just to take them home and watch them, and then bring them back the day after, or sometimes even keep them for a little bit. I just remember being very sort of, is mesmerized the right word? I guess so. As a kid, I was very I knew something about me was different, and as I got older, I found out myself that I was on the spectrum, and I knew I had been on, like, in some way or form, but like I just knew I was different. And looking back on things, I think that explains how strongly I hyperfixated on Barney to a certain extent. I just remember always having this love for puppets, full body puppets, animation, that kind of thing. And seeing Barney so active on screen, knowing that he wasn't real, was something that was very fascinating to me. And I always latched onto it, purely from a visual aspect. I mean, Barney was filled with all kinds of different colors, purple, green, yellow, blue. Like every episode, everything about the franchise just popped, no matter what it was. We would watch those tapes all the time. She had lots of Barney puzzles. She had lots of like little paper cutouts that would be hung up on the wall. That'd be Barney, BJ, and Baby Bob. And that, along with the tapes, really just sort of immersed me in that world growing up. And I think my parents really sort of latched on to the fact that I was very much growing to be essentially like a super fan of this character as a kid. And I had a bunch of Barney plush dolls. I remember once I had a Barney birthday cake. That was a long time ago. I don't even know why I remember that. And then eventually I got older and sort of delved into like other hobbies and stuff, and Barney sort of faded away into the background, not intentionally. It just sort of like drifted off. And along the way, for some reason, I don't know what happened, but like all of my Barney memorabilia just sort of disappeared. I still to this day don't know what happened, if it was given away or what, but like it all just sort of left. And I found that very strange. I remember I kept on to a lot of drawings that I had. I used to draw Barney all the time, trying to figure out the anatomy of the costume and everything. And I very much drew Barney a lot. And those I kept on to, but again, like for the most part, all of my tapes and all of my plush dolls and everything just sort of disappeared. And I didn't really think about it until somewhat recently. It just sort of poofed. Fast forward through high school, and actually just a few years after that, I managed to find Barney again. And it very much was one of those things where it had been so long that I didn't really process just how strongly I had held on to something. I just remember I looked up like Barney episodes and theme songs on YouTube, and then I just like re-immersed myself into that world and remembered like this was my thing. This was everything for me growing up. This was my life growing up, is I would spend time essentially with this character for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes at a time, and then he'd be gone, and then he'd come back. And that's essentially when I started this channel. I would watch things like documentaries and all kinds of different things, and they would all be on different kids shows and just like lost media. But for some reason, no one was really doing anything for Barney, and I thought that was very strange. No one was doing anything on a consistent basis, at the very least. And I knew that at the time, I was doing things like that. I was doing reviews, and I was doing all kinds of different videos, and I knew that maybe someday I could make something informational, something sort of new, something new to the franchise that no one was really ever doing. And that's when I started this channel, and I didn't expect the channel to take off in the way that it did. I was legitimately just making something to throw at the wind, and maybe it would pick up, maybe people would see it, maybe people would be interested in watching it. And I just sort of left it alone, and eventually it started growing and growing and growing. And I realized that with how strongly I'd held onto the character growing up, getting back into it was something that was very, very plausible. I felt as though this was something that I needed to do. It was something, because at the time I was already just sort of putting myself back into the headspace of the different things that I had enjoyed myself growing up. Barney had almost left my mind entirely. Like it wasn't even something that I was thinking about in any way, shape, or form. And once the channel started taking off, that led me to collecting plush dolls, that led me to collecting VHS tapes, because as I said, all my stuff sort of disappeared. So I essentially had to regrow my collection again entirely on my own. It's very interesting because, you know, there were a lot of things that I had never seen, a lot of history facts that I had never even known, and it just sort of snowballed from there. It made me really happy knowing that now I'm an adult and I can do essentially whatever I want. I can get back into the things that I loved growing up without any sort of judgment or without any recourse of action. I've said before that I'm a very spiritual person in the sense that I latch onto rainbows. Rainbows are my sense of hope. They're my sense of strength, and anytime I see a rainbow out in the sky, I say thank you, because I truly believe that those colors out there are protecting me. That's just how I feel. I believe that every color has a meaning, and the further I got back into delving back into Barney, the more I realized just how prevalent rainbows are in Barney, and that made me also realize that Barney is a vital piece of my rainbow. Barney was not just this helping hand, this learning character, especially not in the beginning, but he was a friend. Anytime I would put in a tape for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, however long it was, Barney was this imaginary character meant to not be real. But to me, he was as real as my imagination could take me. And he was a friend. He was someone that would not judge you. He was someone that would essentially just hold your hand through anything. He had been gone from my life for so long that bringing all of this back was something that was very, very important to me. And I wanted to put my all into everything I did regarding this franchise, because it almost felt like I owed it to the franchise. It's a very interesting thing because I've said before, you know, anyone that's grown up with this character has had a plush doll of this character at some point, and everyone's plush doll is going to look different because everyone's experience with the character is going to be different in some way, shape, or form. Everyone has their own experience with Barney. Everyone has their own feelings about Barney, and for me, Barney was one of my best friends ever. Just the idea of something in the show itself not being real and presenting that to a child or presenting that to really anyone as that is so powerful to me, because it essentially what it does is it makes it a friend for life. That was essentially the creator's philosophy, and I think it really paid off because at the very least with me, Barney had been there all throughout my childhood, holding my hand, helping me get through things, left my life entirely for years and years and years, and then came back and is now something that I cannot live without. It's a very interesting sort of phenomenon for me because I have met a lot of wonderful people. I've done a lot of amazing things, gotten a lot of different amazing opportunities because of this character that had been gone from my life for so long. He's a friend that I can't really let go, ever. I know that, you know, as an adult, again, there's no judgment from anyone. So he can be a friend for life for me if I so want him to. I just wanted to say that it's been a very, very wild journey. It's been a wild past 3 years just getting myself back into the world of Barney and collecting and meeting new people. And I'm, as an adult fan in 2023, at the time of this recording, I am very blessed to have a character that has meant this much to me being a part of my life in the way that it has been. Again, everyone has their own experiences. Everyone has their own differing experiences with certain characters, and Barney is one that has essentially stood the test of time with myself. And again, just I'm very blessed to have this character along on the ride with me. In the comment section, let me know your experience with Barney, what it was like growing up, and what Barney means to you. I would love to hear that, and I appreciate you listening to my little ramble. It very much was a ramble, but I appreciate you sticking all the way through. And again, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. I would happily look at all of them. Yes, and that's pretty much it, really. Thank you guys for boarding my rainbow line. I'll see you guys at the next stop. See you.
Alicia, Andrew, Brandon, Caroline, Donnie, Emilia, Aaron, Gwen, Helen, Ian, Junior the Hedgehog, Common J, Caitlin, Matthew, Megley, Mia T. Toon, Nerdy Disney, our friend Barney, Samuel. Thank you to all of my Rainbow Line passengers. See you.